Yeah, I'm Shabul Mazadu, an indigenous of Gindri, or an indigenous of Plateau State, from Gindri, a district in Mangu local government. I attended my primary school in Gindri from 1978 to 1983. From there, I went to secondary school, and I started from Boys Secondary School Gindri in 1983. I left Boys Secondary School Gindri in 1983 and went to Government Teachers College Gindri in 1984/85. In 1986, I sat for science school exam and I passed, and I went to Government Science Teachers College Ampere, where I graduated in 1989. We were the last set of the grade 2. From there, I went to SPS Kefi in 1992/93, where I did IJNB. I read biology, geology, physics as my course. And after that, I taught for some time. I taught in some schools. I taught in Palam Private School, Gindri. It is now defunct. I also taught in Cooking Staff Children's School. I taught in Educare here in Jos. And finally, I retired from teaching in 2006. I did Plateau Polytechnic here, where I read accounting. And after that, having interest and penchant for the media, I went into the media. I worked with City Watch, and then from there I moved to Newsgate/Newscrest. And from there I started my own. And since then, I gave my full attention in running my business, that is the Beacon newspaper. In life, there are certain things that with time you develop interest for. Particularly, my interest when I was in primary and secondary school was to be a pharmacist or a medical doctor. But as time went on, I found myself teaching and going into, studying accounting and other things apart from the initial dream I had. So there are certain interests that with time you may gradually develop, and that interest may overshadow your initial interest. And maybe it might be your calling. So you see, I have my own thinking. God has his own plan for me. So right now, as I'm talking to you, if I had the knowledge when I was in primary school, I would have told the part of media right from my primary school to my tertiary institution. Being a publisher on the plateau is like a man giving a 1,000,000-liter tanker, empty tank, water tanker, to draw water from the desert and fill that tanker, if you understand what I mean. Being a publisher on the plateau is a very, very heavy task. There are fierce challenges that one has to make up his mind to face or fizzle out. I think those that started earlier, since the inception of the Fourth Republic, had it good. What I mean, they had it good. But they were very, very careless in expanding their business. They would have gone even international, not even national. They would have owned not even print media, but television, electronic media too, both radio and television. You understand? Because the Fourth Republic government on the plateau was highly media friendly. And as at then, there were so many companies that were alive that could patronize papers. You know what keeps a paper moving is the advertorial. The adverts they get is not the news you carry or the purchase of the paper by readers. You understand? Now, in 2007, the Jang administration was media friendly too. Now I want you to understand, on the plateau we don't have companies that you can go to that they can place adverts on print media. And so you have to fall back to the politicians. And most of the politicians only patronize the papers during electioneering periods and after that. Now, you see, the Darie administration and the Jang administration had the insight that the independent papers on the plateau are closer to the grassroots, are closer to the people of the state. And the people of the state need to know more about their activities. Right? But this present government doesn't have that insight. You understand? The big man there in the government house prefers to patronize national papers. I don't know whether the problem is from him or from those that advise him or whatever. Because the people that need to know his achievements, the people that need to have it as a document in their hands are the people that he governs, are the governed. Because they are the ones that will vote for him, not the people outside the state. And I will tell you in confidence, Plateau State is the worst state in Nigeria that patronizes independent papers, the papers that are published in the state. And that was why, if you can recall, during the 2019 general elections, the governor had it tough because he was not patronizing the papers and the people did not know his achievements. He was busy airing his achievements on the national dailies. And you know that the independent papers are mostly weekly, fortnightly, and monthly. So once they publish information, they keep them on the newsstand for this period. So now the challenge is, where do you go and get adverts to run your papers? There are no companies. The hotels on the plateau are dying. The government is not patronizing. You know, it's a very, very serious challenge. Frankly speaking, Plateau State is endowed with trillions of natural resources and human resources too. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we are one of the most blessed states in the country. But our mentality, our perception to life, our perception to governance, our perception to politics, our perception to religion, our perception to intra-relationship among the diverse ethnic groups are a major problem and could not allow us to tap these resources. For instance, a little problem that erupts in the state, if it takes the future of ethno-religious, yes. The next thing, if you go on net or on social media, you will hear or you will read a lot of nasty comments. And these nasty comments may take up to 2 to 3 months. That goes to show you that any man that has the intention of coming to invest on the plateau will not, because he believes that there is no peace in plateau, and that is what we always try to project to the world, that there is no peace, and so investors are not coming, and we don't have the technology and the sufficient manpower to tap the natural resources that we have on the plateau. And people are scared of coming because we lack peace. Even if the government is working hard to bring peace, some people are working hard to discredit that. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, aside the issue of peace militating, the kind of political opposition, you see, the opposition, the incumbents, both need to live goodly. They need to live a good life. Challenge things that the government on things that will enhance or promote development, not things that will sabotage, frustrate, and set the state on fire. Do you get it? We also have again what we call the pull him down syndrome. Now imagine we got somebody here that was able to assemble a tractor. Somebody was able to design a car. In fact, we once had somebody that did, what do they call him? I forgot his name. That the first inventor of the machine that pounds acha, separates it from the sand, brings it out clean. No government helped him. You understand? So if you look at the man that assembled the tractor here and the person that designed the car, you ask, what is the government doing to use them to develop that technology on the plateau and to allow people to get jobs? You find out that somebody somewhere is frustrating it because he feels if these people are empowered, tomorrow they will have a voice. If you look at under J.D. Gomok, J.D. Gomok empowered so many plateau indigenes. If you have ever heard of BEPCO, Benue Plateau Company, it was the company that constructed the Plateau Secretariat, the Central Bank, and other structures. And he met a lot of contractors on the plateau, millionaires. But when Lar came to power, he gave most of these contractors contracts and failed to pay them. And they used their money to execute the contracts. After executing the contracts, they were not paid. They went bankrupt. So many of them died of high blood pressure. Since then, the millionaire contractors we had on the plateau vanished. He pulled them down instead of pushing them up. Until date, I'm telling you, that spirit is one of our major problems. If you want to excel in plateau and you are very intelligent, hide your intelligence. If you expose it, you'll be the first target and you'll be stricken down, dead. And I'm saying that without apology. That is what is killing us. We are billionaires sitting on wealth and we cannot tap the wealth because of our stupidity. We are not exposed. We have professors on the plateau. We have so many enlightened people. But that exposure, give Japan Plateau State, give Israel Plateau State, they will be the superpowers.
Okay.
Well, to be candid, in so many areas, this administration is trying. Despite the fact that the big man in the government house, Right Honorable Simon Bakola Long, has stationed the nozzle of his gun at the Plateau Independent Publishers. Although there is a little change now with the coming of Machamakut and Dan Manjang, but the previous people that man his media, like what do they call that? His name is previous personal assistant on media, Mag Longyen. You know, the Black Mamba. You understand? Anyway, the government is really trying in so many areas, especially these zero potholes, these street lights. You see, one major feature of the governor that really thrills me and I appreciate it is the issue of governance being continual. Not every governor will have that large heart to complete the projects of his predecessor, irrespective of what the opposition, his enemies, and others will say. In terms of infrastructure, look at his legacy projects. Look at his the completion of the projects he found on ground. Look at the agricultural sector, and look at other sectors. He's really trying. I didn't expect that in his second term, because most governors, when they come for their second term, it is just like a time for them to enrich themselves and go. Honestly, the man, if I'm going to mention the projects that I know the man is doing, I'm telling you, it will take us a very long time. It will take much of our time. And if you look at his reaction towards the issue of this coronavirus, I remembered when the rumor of that Ebola came. In fact, till the time it fizzled, then government did not put any machinery on ground. But imagine, even before the Ebola would get anywhere, we'll be hearing on news the steps and other measures the man is taking. So I commend him for his giant strides. And I want to use this opportunity to strongly advise the governor that there are institutions on ground that were built by J.D. Gomok that today they are in dilapidation and they are deteriorating on daily basis. And such institutions are very large that can be converted to tertiary institutions. Instead of allowing these buildings to collapse needlessly, and if they will be rebuilt, millions will be spent to rebuild them. I think the governor should take drastic action in taking care of them, such as Government College Jingir, Government College Jos, Government College Ampere, Government College Dengi. The governor should do something about these structures. They are very important. He can convert them to any of the tertiary institutions. The politicians on the plateau have got the print medias at the jugular and clip their hands with fetters and their legs with shackles, so much that if they want to survive, they have to be in their pocket, or else they go down the drain. If you look at it, when I started, let me give an example with my publication. When I started, I was balancing my report, picking from the government side, picking from the opposition. The next thing I was an enemy of the administration. I wasn't getting patronage. I was being attacked and other things like that. So all those that benefited then were praise singers to the government. You understand what I'm saying? So if for them to thrive, they don't have the mindset of maybe most, I'm not saying all of us, but most of us don't have an independent mind that they can stand on their feet because they need to survive. So most times they compromise with the government. They hardly talk on the negative side of the government. You understand? And the politicians know that they have to depend on them for adverts and whatever. So they have to compromise. So the politicians are not doing anything good in enhancing pure journalism on the plateau. They fail to understand that somebody once said, my critics are my guiding angel. When somebody criticizes you, he's doing you a lot of good. Take the criticism, weigh them, look at the good ones, take them. If they are just calumnious, you drop them. You understand? But our politicians don't see it that way. And again, our politicians see them. After incapacitating them, they make them to be as pawns. That during electioneering campaigns, they use them, and after using them, when they get to power, they drop them. First and foremost, I give God the glory for the awards. It was never easy for us. And frankly speaking, it is God. And I give God the glory. I will never ever take the glory to myself. It is God. And aside that, there are people that stood for us that I really have to appreciate them for their patronage. You see, when we started, Chief Alexander Molus, I will never forget him, in 2010. I think he gave us 45,000 as a blessing, that he blessed us with the money that we should go and take off. Nobody gave us a dime when we started. He was the only one that gave us a dime when he heard of the dream. He said he believed in what we could do. Another person is Irmia Mama. He's our patron. He has been there for us, encouraging us. And then the person that we are running the office in his compound, Musa Paul Gindri, he too. And then in the John Gobak, since we started this paper, the man kept buying 10 copies of every edition, and he pays twice to 3 times the amount of the papers he buys. And there are people that are consistent on patronizing us with adverts, because there's so much belief in what we are doing. Honestly, I'm highly impressed, and I commend Senator Joshua Darie for patronizing us non-stop. Dan Pauline Talen, because of her patronage, people were even saying the paper is hers. I really appreciate her patronage and how she has been patronizing us. People like John Dafan, Joe Ari, Basil Piapon, and so many others. So those that have been patronizing us and they have believed in us, that I have not mentioned their names, I want them to know that whether it is only once, you appreciate it, and we are saying a very, very big thank you, and God bless you. This the almighty COVID-19 or coronavirus, as they call it. You understand? This pandemic started like a joke. But because human beings are unserious, most of these countries that were affected were unserious. Because the very time they started spreading like wildfire in China, that was the period that we were supposed to close all their borders. They were supposed to stop others from coming and from going out. You understand? Some were very, very careless. And here in Nigeria, it has already happened. So going back to cry over spilled milk will not help. But I would like Nigeria to adopt the posture taken by South Korea. Test, identify, separate, quarantine, and heal and cure. You understand? So here on the plateau, if the governor has the means, let them get the gadgets of, testing the virus, and let the citizens go for test so that they can test, identify, separate, and then treat. They don't have to wait until it starts consuming people like wildfire. Then they start acting. Chinua Achebe said, you don't wait. When the water reaches your ankle, that is when you start acting. You don't have to wait for it to reach your neck. Well, first and foremost, I want the entire state to know that information is power. You don't joke with information. And they have to know that the print media, are you getting it? The media is the fourth extant realm of governance. And also, it is an employer of labor. Now, by patronizing the print media on the plateau and supporting them to grow, they will be doing a lot of good to themselves, because they are closer to the people and they will disseminate information to them. You see, so many people trust in, or they trust on what they read on the social media, and most of the news on social media now are lies. You understand? So I will also call my colleagues in this job to be alive, not to see their calling as a means of making ends meet only. They should see their calling as divine. They should see that their lives, safety, progress, success of the people to a large extent depend on them. And I always say, journalists are like evangelists. We are to sanitize the system. We are to bring out things that will develop our country, our state, and our local governments. So I'm calling on them to see their calling as divine, to put in their best, and be alive, and get every information on the coronavirus that will be of benefit to the people of the state and to the country at large, to decimate them, at least. And let's carry information that will not set the state on fire or make people to see Plateau State as a home of chaos, force, fighting, and terrorism. Plateau still remains the home of peace and tourism. And I want to assure all investors that have the intention of coming to Plateau, they should ignore the verbal attacks that people do on social media and the ugly fragmented picture about Plateau that they present on the social media. Let them come to the state themselves and find out and see things for themselves and then invest. Surely they won't regret it. Well, frankly speaking, I must commend the Core Media for the great job you are doing. You are putting Plateau State on a very, very high pedestal. Even the North Central Award that you are doing is highly commendable. And I pray the Plateau State government sees the potentiality of the Core Media and the potentials of the people coordinating it, and their efforts and the role they are playing in motivating people to be hard work and committed to their jobs, and find a way of encouraging them to do more.